Today, I'm going to share a more advanced aerial shooting technique with you. It's also something I realized recently while using my GoPro to shoot aerial footage and car chase shots. As you may know, in previous videos, I've shared my GoPro recording settings. I usually shoot in GoPro Special Full Open Game mode, the maximum frame size at 5.3K 8:7. This mode gives plenty of vertical space, allowing great flexibility for vertical framing adjustments in post-production. For example, I can keyframe the footage in my editing software and move it up or down to adjust the composition. In the end, I don't export the full 8:7 frame, but crop it to a 2.35 to 1 cinematic ratio or a standard 16:9. Recently, I noticed a problem. The GoPro footage is extremely wide angle. It can go as wide as 11mm or 12mm, but with noticeable spherical distortion, commonly called barrel distortion. This means that after stabilization, the effective focal length may become around 14mm or more. And in fact, the focal length depends on your stabilization strength. The higher the stabilization smoothness, the more the frame gets cropped. Recently, I've shot some footage with lower stabilization smoothness, which preserved a wider field of view. In such videos, I noticed an issue when trying vertical framing adjustments. The issue is that in the 8:7 frame, vertical shifting stretches the edges of the image unnaturally. So when I shift the frame for composition, those stretched parts look very unnatural. This happens because, in real life, when we view a scene or move a gimbal up and down on a drone, the camera actually tilts around the center point when moving up and down. But if I do post-production vertical reframing, say this is my 8:7 frame, and I crop out just the 2.35 to 1 cinematic frame from the center and shift it up or down, it creates a very different look compared to actually tilting the gimbal. So, after some thought, I came up with the best solution for vertical reframing. First, I need to calibrate the GoPro's framing in my editing software. I roughly calculated that with normal stabilization, the 8:7 frame equals about a 14mm full frame focal length. Then, in my editing software's 3D workspace, I create a camera view with a 14mm field of view. I stretch and scale my footage to fill this 14mm view. At this point, I animate the camera's movement with keyframes. Instead of moving the footage itself, I keyframe the camera's vertical tilt. With this method, even when I tilt the virtual camera to its lowest angle, showing the extreme edge of the frame, the distortion remains natural looking. I believe this tip is quite helpful for car chasing, following shots, or shooting fixed-wing planes. Of course, if you want to keep it simple, you can just export in a fixed 16:9 aspect ratio. That way, you won't have room for vertical reframing or virtual gimbal moves. But you'll get the most natural look without worrying about awkward distortion from reframing. That's all for this advanced aerial shooting tip.